I just got done running my first session of Lancer, and I'm still a little bit decompressing, but I wanted to get this out. Lancer's great. I love it. It's a fantastic system for that really crunchy, highly tactical kind of combat. We didn't really do much else because this was honestly just learning the system kind of session. So there was a little bit of character introduction, and then we just went right into the sit rep and deploy, and we're off to the races. There's a few quick general observations that I wanted to make, things that came immediately to mind as I was winding down at the end. And then I have a specific thing that I want to talk about that I think Lancer does really well. So number one, I was really impressed at super heavy weapons, and I didn't think I was going to be. This surprised me a little bit. There was a couple of characters. So for context, they're all license level 0. They're brand new characters. No licenses above whatever the baseline stuff is. So I thought that the baseline super heavy weapons that require you to, they require like your full turn to fire, and then they also require a full turn to reload because they all have loading. I thought they were going to kind of suck. I thought they were going to be pretty lame relative to how much time it takes to fire them. I was wrong. I was very wrong for a couple of reasons. One, you're one-shotting basically anything you point them at. If you hit with a super heavy, you're probably killing it unless it's something really big, like a Goliath or something like that. And even then, maybe. But like regular enemies, you just one-shot. You kind of want to reserve your super heavies for like elites and veterans and such. Because they're a little bit overkill for anything else. So I was really impressed with that and surprised. Not only are you one-shotting, but also there's a lot of ways to get additional actions. You get your normal move, that doesn't take an action. And then you get, everyone was playing Everest's. And this is a little bit of an oddity here because they knew that they were only doing one mission for today, so they all just popped their core power right away, which gives them a quick action as a free action, or they get a boost as a free action every turn. So they're doing normal move and they're boosting, and then they also get their actions on top of that. Plus, they get their once per scene quick action as a free action, and they can overcharge for another quick action. Like, you can still do a lot of stuff. Like, that's practically a full turn. That's more than a full turn. Like, a boost and 2 quick actions if you wanted. Like, to do that all in one turn. Like, that's more than a full turn in addition to the full turn that you're taking, firing, or reloading this stuff. So, it wasn't as big. Like, it's not like, oh, I just don't do anything on my turn so I can refire my weapon next time, which is kind of what I was expecting. Movement and positioning and making sure that the enemy doesn't have cover and that you do have cover and you have line of sight and all this, so important. I got advice from the Lancer Discord right before the game that like more terrain is better, just tons and tons of terrain, just fill it with terrain, and I did. And I'm glad I did. I think that's the right play. You want like avenues of clear area, very little space that isn't like obstructed, or you got like towers and buildings and structures and difficult terrain and dangerous terrain and everything like that. Just like it's such a full board that you can't just sit in one place and fire over and over and over again. The other thing was that grunts are very, very dangerous. They are not just minions like in 4th edition. They're the equivalent, but they are not used the same way. Because grunts, which only have 1 hit point, don't have they don't have reduced damage. So they're doing the full damage that a normal enemy mech would do. Which means if you're deploying them in like 3s and 4s, that's a lot of damage. Like the party needs to remove them as fast as possible. And after license level 0, you start getting the tools to do that. So at license level 0, grunts are extremely dangerous. I was surprised by that a little bit. Well, actually, not super surprised, but I was. That's just one of the things that I noticed during the game. This like group of 4 cataphracted grunts just came out of the deployment zone, just swinging hard. They're doing 5 damage when like the baseline Everest mech has 10 health. The party did end up taking some structure damage, and so like that's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. The other thing is, let's see, I thought there was one more. There's one more. Size 3 is very awkward to use. It's so awkward. A lot of the NPC mechs are actually pretty slow, and if you're slow and big, it's very like lumbersome to use. That's neither a good thing nor a bad thing. I think it's just a particular feel. I kind of was looking forward to using this frame, this like big Goliath frame that I made elite even, run up and just like really control the battlefield. I didn't really feel like that really worked out. But a part of that is going to be just like the scenario and the fact that it was like the last thing to be deployed on the enemy side. So I think actually had it come out earlier, it probably would have had more impact. Because it was no enemies start on the board in the beginning of each round. 2 enemies or a group of grunts spawn at deployment zones. So I think had I not made it last, I probably would have had more effect on the battlefield. The thing I actually wanted to talk about, which I think Lancer does exceedingly well, is teamwork. Now, I've talked about teamwork before, mostly in the context of D&D 4th edition. Because I think 4th edition does teamwork very, very well. It does it quite explicitly, too. There's a whole category of classes that are specifically about teamwork. And then even outside of that, it's very easy to see, like, oh, this is clearly for helping out with these kinds of effects and these kinds of characters. And it's quite natural to look at the features and the abilities and see the synergies between them. So you can like set things up for each other and get bonuses and make each other more effective. Lancer has a slightly different kind of teamwork that I am seeing. It is that like, this ally has the objective. We need to cover him. So I'm going to throw down smoke grenades to give him cover. I'm going to go first to clear out this enemy because that enemy's slowing him down. So I'm going to get rid of this enemy so that when they take their turn, they can go. And all this comes down to the variable initiative system where Lancers can take their turn in whatever order you want. So actually you can arrange your team order tactically to help out whoever needs help. And yes, that also goes for the enemy where like, the enemies can go in whatever order. So like, I think basically as the GM, my logic was, I think this NPC is going to die next. So I'm going to have them take their turn now. But for players, it's less about that because like players probably aren't going to die. And certainly for most of the game, they are not on the brink of death. So instead, they tend to order their turn in whatever way is most beneficial for whoever is furthering their objective, which I think is just really cool. I think it was a really cool moment that we had in the game where they were supposed to go get an objective out of a objective zone and then bring it back to where they started and extract it out. And so one of the characters had a compartment inside his mech that could fit an object of the size of the objective. And so, as a full action, I'll let you load up the objective inside your mech because normally you kind of have to pull it along with you and you only move, it only like comes with you during your standard move. But this allowed him to just go his full distance. Well, the enemies got wind of this and they started hitting him with stuff that slowed him. And then one of them deployed a drone that would immobilize everyone in an area who started in the area. Well, kill that guy, kill the drone, and create smoke clouds to cover the person holding the objective so that he can't be shot at. He hides in that area because he did get slowed, so he can't boost to go really far. He can only get his normal move. He like moves up to the edge of the cloud, hides so enemies can't target him. It's so good. Like half the party fully was gathered around making sure that this guy was safe and that he was supported in furthering the objective for the team. It was so good. It was honestly like a sports play is what it felt like. where like, you know, you've got the ball, your team is running interference for you to keep the enemy away from you so that you can go score that goal, score that touchdown, whatever it is that you're doing, whatever sports analogy inserts here. And I just thought that was really awesome. I wasn't really expecting there to be that much teamwork in the game because they're all license level 0. So like you don't get any of the support mechs or the support upgrades. But there are inherent ways to support each other just within the baseline systems. You know, creating smoke grenades, creating terrain, you know, obstacles to block off enemies, standing in the way, or, you know, just like getting up into engagement with enemies so they can't use ranged attacks very effectively. It's all really good. I really enjoyed my time with Lancer. I am looking forward to running my next session, which is going to be at a higher license level. I want to do a whole mission at probably about license level 6. Just to give the players the chance to really customize their mechs and explore those higher systems. But I just wanted to comment on how really good the teamwork is. Gameplay flow, just in general, was pretty quick. We did a whole combat in about 3 hours flat, which was, what, 6-7 rounds, something like that? With 6 players, by the way. 6 players. So half an hour per player for a big, heavy, crunchy game like this. I think that's pretty good, to be honest. I was pretty surprised, actually, at the diversity of abilities. I was expecting there to be more overlap than there was. There still was some overlap, to be sure. There was definitely some overlap in, like, the options that the characters took. Not as much as I thought there was going to be. I thought they were going to be a lot more similar to each other than they ended up being. And I imagine at license level 6, there's going to be basically no overlap because, like, who's going to be taking baseline stuff at that stage, right? I guess you're probably still going to be taking some baseline systems. I guess, probably. But yeah, Lancer, still good. It is not just theory now. I've actually run the game, and I can confirm it's as good as it looks.